Where are you standing on President Trump, Catherine?
You have to remember, President Trump was the president who authorized Operation Warp Speed and funded $18 billion for the military to implement a mass atrocity. That was President Trump. So in about 6 weeks, it was early summer, I said on the Solari report, I believe that the bankers have chosen Trump because he's the man who can get conservatives to go along with the control grid. Using immigration election fraud, he will be able to sell the digital ID and the big tech solutions. And that's exactly what's happened. Although the reason we started to keep a collection at Solari, and everybody can read it by going to Solari and looking up just put control grid in the search box or go to latest and you'll find it because we update it every week. They moved so quickly. Even I was surprised at how quickly they were moving to implement the different pieces of both programmable money and digital ID and other aspects of the system, including the data centers and the AI implementation. And at the speed at which they moved, starting literally the day after the inauguration with the $500 billion Stargate proposal for the data centers, and it was very quick, it was clear to me that someone had been working for a very long time on preparing everything and being ready to go. So now I can say this is Trump, but if you look at the US government, we have an annual expenditure of $6 trillion, $4 trillion comes in on taxes and other revenues, fees and tariffs, and then $2 trillion is borrowed. The United States government is in a debt trap. And so literally you have to do what the bankers tell you. And what we're watching is a Congress and a president who have been for many years, this is not just now, operating outside of the fundamental laws of the United States, particularly the financial management laws. You know, they are operating the government financially on a criminal basis. And I'm assuming it's because essentially that debt trap is being used to engineer control. And what you will find as a political matter is the problem that most politicians face in America. To give you an example, I was with a group of leaders in Idaho not that long ago, and one of them said, you know, every year we send $1 to Washington, and then we get $1.19 back. And every time I try to enforce the Constitution, my constituents say I want the 19 cents. So there is an economic component to this control that's happening. And it's really put the central bankers in the catbird seat as they get all the governments in the world in a debt trap. When I had a wonderful colleague, Meryl Nass, who was working to get us out of the UN treaty, and she was talking with countries across Europe and in the United States. And the leadership basically said, we're in a debt trap. You know, we need to agree to this or else they'll cut off our credit.